Hi guys, I hope you're all well and welcome to episode 132 of the Layton Fitness Podcast. So in this specific episode we'll be discussing why eating healthy foods doesn't guarantee fat loss. And in my opinion this is arguably one of the biggest fitness myths within the fitness industry at the moment. The reason why is you've probably been sold this idea that all you need to do is eat quote unquote clean, essentially just eliminate processed food, focus on single ingredient whole food, and you will lose body fat. The fat loss equation will take care of itself, and unfortunately that just simply is not true. The reason why that's not true is we must be within an energy deficit to lose body fat. We must be within that calorie deficit. So in short, we must be burning more calories than we're consuming to lose weight. And if you're not creating an energy deficit, you will not lose weight regardless of how healthy the foods you are eating are. And unfortunately you've just been sold this lie that all you need to do is just eat these healthy foods and you'll lose weight and everything will take care of itself. And unfortunately that just is not the case. Now keep in mind, typically some individuals will make progress with this approach. The reason why is if they've got a lot of body fat to lose, focusing on mainly single ingredient whole foods, healthy foods are typically lower in calories. And for someone with a significant amount of body fat to lose, to create an energy deficit will be very straightforward when they're just focusing on healthy foods. However, the longer the fat loss phase goes on for, and you may be in this situation yourself, you've got some results and then all of a sudden your progress has plateaued. And this is the type of person that signs up to my coaching services. When I look through their current food sources via my questionnaire, when I see the progress they've achieved and then they tell me their results have plateaued, this is the reason why. They've essentially just applied what they've applied previously, i.e. just focusing on food quality, just healthy foods that they've got results previously just because they had more body fat to lose, and then all of a sudden they're now lighter and they can't achieve the same results. And the reason why is they're just not creating that energy deficit. And this is where a slightly different approach is required. You need to start actually tracking your food intake, tracking your protein and your calories, focusing on weight training to help preserve lean muscle mass, and then you're merely making changes to calories to drop them further and or increase energy expenditure from more cardio. And that's really the key, and that's really the next step for you. If you've got results via just focusing on healthy foods and then all of a sudden your progress is stalled, this is the next step. You need to actually guarantee you're creating an energy deficit, otherwise you will not achieve your fat loss goals. And there's a couple of good food sources that are great examples of this. For example, nuts, a great food source, lots of healthy fats, a small amount of protein, small amount of carbohydrates, very nutrient dense, lots of micronutrients, a healthy food. However, because it's so calorically dense, a food like this can easily wipe out the energy deficit needed for fat loss. A handful of nuts can easily be 200 calories plus, and for a lightweight female, for example, this is more than enough to wipe out the energy deficit needed for fat loss. And as such, try and come away from just looking at foods in isolation, just looking at is this meal healthy, and actually look at the more important factor, which is the daily nutrition targets. How many calories are you consuming every single day? What protein, carbohydrates and fats are you consuming by the end of the day? And that's really what I want you to be focusing on. Now keep in mind, I'm not saying that you shouldn't be focusing on the majority of your foods from single ingredient whole foods. You absolutely should. You should have approximately 80% of your food sources from single ingredient whole foods, lots of fruits and vegetables, lots of foods with high micronutrient density. That should make up the bulk of your food intake. And then as long as you're within your daily nutrition targets, you can still have some processed food in moderation. But the key thing is, as long as you're focusing on well set up protein, carbohydrate, fat and calorie targets, you will still be in the energy deficit needed for fat loss. So therefore, the individual that has the majority of their food intake from whole foods, has a small amount of processed food, yet is in that energy deficit, that's the individual that's going to be losing body fat, as opposed to the individual that has 100% of their food intake from single ingredient whole foods, but they're not creating an energy deficit, they're over consuming total calories. And that's really what the next step for you. You've been following this clean eating approach for a while now, you've got results and your progress is stalled. This is the next step. You need to essentially guarantee you're creating the energy deficit need for fat loss. You're probably wondering, this all sounds very complicated. How am I going to be able to set these calorie and macronutrient targets? Well, fortunately, I have a free ebook on my website which is called How to Set Up a Nutrition Plan. I essentially teach you how to set protein, carbohydrate, fat and calorie targets suitable for you, suitable for your fat loss or muscle building goals. But the real key about the ebook is I teach you how to make changes so you continue to make progress when you reach fat loss or muscle building plateaus. So I would suggest downloading the ebook, and then you can start applying exactly what I'm teaching within this podcast. So thank you very much for listening. I will look forward to speaking to you next week. If you're still yet to subscribe to the podcast, please do, as I bring out these podcasts every single week, and you can therefore guarantee that you don't miss an episode. Thank you very much.